Welcome to You Ought to Watch This Movie, the podcast about movies from the first decade of the 2000s, aka the aughts. Follow along and explore a movie from the aughts, getting unbridled opinions from two millennials. Sit back, relax, and enjoy one of the best decades in movies.
We are back. That was a terrible freaking intro because my voice screeched. YAWTM. Welcome back to You Ought to Watch This Movie, or YAWTM.
Yes.
I'm Miles.
And I'm Colin.
And we are here today for The Replacements.
Mm-hmm. Which is from 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And premiered August 11th, 2000.
Okay. And wow, we're in August of the 00.
Yes, we still have a long way to go.
Wow. Well, as it's funny because we keep seeing references to, movies, from the aughts. And we'll get there, and we'll get there eventually. Then recently, I can't remember what movie it was we saw from 2001. And it's like, we'll get there sooner. But,
I know what it was.
What was it?
Legally Blonde.
Oh, yeah. Legally Blonde. It was on TV.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Stick around for that one. That will be, months in the future. Anyway, so this movie, if you have not seen it already, you can watch on
Tubi.
Or not Tubi. Tubi, which is a streaming free service,
Yeah, it's
I guess.
a free streaming service. And you could also rent or buy it on Amazon or wherever you like to rent or buy movies.
Oh, okay. Almost like Blockbuster, wherever you rent your movies, but they don't exist anymore. Wow.
Yes.
Anyway, so this movie why don't you give the summary?
First, we do trailer notes.
Oh, trailer. Okay.
I think, or we could do the summary.
Yeah, do the summary first.
Okay. Well, the NFL is on strike, so I guess it's like all the teams, but this movie follows the Washington Sentinels. Their owner hires a replacement coach, and they in turn get replacement players to finish the season.
Yeah, and this, for context, is this movie follows fictional NFL teams. Which I just found weird. Like, they couldn't get the rights to, but whatever.
But, well, we can get into this later. It's loosely based off of a real-life event.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. So, trailer is... I will go first.
Okay.
Don't think I have seen Keanu Reeves in a comedy before. Some of the actors I recognize, but... can't recall from where they came from. Overall, the trailer has a, quote, feel good underdog, unquote, vibe.
Okay, so my first note was there was no voiceover, but there was text instead telling you what was going to be happening. The I Will Survive song seems to be a theme, although I should have looked up what the real name of that is.
Oh, well, it's all right.
Is it just Survive?
Yeah, I'll look it up while you finish
the
that.
disco era.
Yeah. Go on. I'll look it up.
It's right here. It should be right here.
Yeah, well, it's not, so I got it.
It is.
What is it called?
Well, I Will Survive.
Okay.
Performed by Gloria Gaynor.
Gaynor? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, very cool.
Sorry, we didn't know that. We didn't live in the 70s.
Yeah. But I did live in the 80s, just for reference. Colin.
5 months.
It doesn't matter. I'm still a decade ahead of you.
Okay. And then, let's see. I also said that I have never seen Keanu Reeves in a comedy. And then I also said this seems like a waste of time, but we'll see. The movie.
Well, I would say that it, was and wasn't because, overall it did, have the feel good vibe, underdog, but it isn't a movie that, like I would be dying to see. I did like the fact, well, why don't we go through who was in there?
Yeah. So actors we know, which is what I'm trying to double check that I am correct on one thing.
Well, to start, Keanu Reeves, which we all know from The Matrix,
Well, I've never seen.
unless you're Colin.
And John Wick.
John Wick, which Colin, again, has never seen.
That the office ladies have.
Oh, okay.
Because they always talk about.
Oh, yeah.
But I know him from The Lake House.
Isn't that with Sandra Bullock?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the romance in Keanu Reeves.
Yes.
Okay.
That's also where I know the grandfather from Superman and Lois.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
General Lane. Okay. Other people may know Gene Hackman. I didn't know him, but he was Lex Luthor in
the original Superman.
Christopher
Reeves Superman series.
Yes.
Yeah. I think he played. Yeah, he played a menacing Lex Luthor.
Yes. So he's been in lots of other things, but that's probably where people might know him from.
Okay.
David Denman.
Yeah.
We knew him from The Office. He's Roy. Why is that name so hard to say?
Roy,
because I want to say Rory instead of Roy.
I don't think it would be hard to say if you never saw Gilmore Girls.
Well, maybe. I don't know.
Roy.
Yes. And Jon Favreau.
Oh, yes. Jon Favreau.
Who people might know him from the Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm.
But also he was an elf. And
I just now realized that was Favreau.
Really?
Yeah. It never clicked in my head that it was Favreau. Like, I 100% see it now.
Oh.
I just could not. Like, it never clicked.
Yeah. He looked very thin.
Yeah.
And very short hair.
Yeah.
Art LaFleur. We know him from the Santa Claus movies as the Tooth Fairy.
Mm-hmm.
And we also knew Faison Love from Elf. He was the Gimbel's manager.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. What was his line? There's no singing at the North Pole. Yes, there is. No, there's not.
Yeah. So that's all that was on my list.
Yeah. Well, I think it had a pretty good cadre. And now that we've gone through it, it makes sense where, like I recognize the people from not being able to recognize them in the trailer. And in fact, whenever we saw the trailer and the guy who played Roy, Denman, what's his first name? David Denman. I didn't actually recognize him.
Oh.
It wasn't until you pointed it out in the movie that it was like, I thought it looked familiar, but he is a much, much smaller framed person in that movie.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine like it's like, like in his late teens, early 20s.
Oh, I could look it up.
Yeah.
But it's like all these people were much younger in 2000.
Well, I'd imagine, it's like as the years go on, they get older.
We hope.
Yeah. And so I found it particularly interesting is.
Oh.
What? What? What'd you find about him?
Well, he doesn't have his year listed.
On
his
what?
Birth year on IMDb.
Of course you go to IMDb.
That's where I'm always on.
I know you
I
are.
know how to find stuff on there, and I know that it's probably accurate.
Yeah. So, an interesting aspect to this movie is, so they're playing these pseudo NFL teams like the Washington Sentinels. I don't remember the other names, but like when they played Dallas, it clearly wasn't the Dallas Cowboys. It was some other organization. But I have to make a comment appreciating the director of photography in how they leveraged the angles to make the green screen of the larger fields seem believable.
He was 27.
Oh, okay. So 20s, but yeah. And I just overall it made it, obviously they can't fill a stadium with 80,000 people, but they utilized existing, stock footage of, stadium, and they, for the most part, did a good job of scrubbing actual, NFL, not logos, but references from the crowd.
Okay.
And so I just thought it was really nice that they went, that they made it believable when, there are other movies where you always get a downward facing angle of the players. And so it made it unbelievable that they were, in the stadium, because all you can see is the grass, as to where in this, they always had an upward facing angle. And so you saw the stadium behind them, but the horizon was, obfuscated by, the individual. And so you couldn't tell that it was a transition to green screen. And it was really nice.
I didn't like how the cheerleaders were...
So slutty?
No, I don't care. I didn't care about that. I didn't like how it looked like they were cheering in this dirt patch, when at a real football stadium, the whole area is green, is the AstroTurf. Like, the cheerleaders aren't dancing in like a dirt area.
Right.
They're dancing on the sidelines where it's also
AstroTurf or grass. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure why they couldn't have fixed that, or if it was a metaphor for like they weren't real cheerleaders,
or they were dirty.
Or they were,
because they were recruited from a strip club.
Or if it was like the strike was also causing them to not have maintenance on the whole field. I think
it was a player strike, but it may have been,
Well, yeah, I know. I wasn't sure why they chose that. Why they couldn't just have the whole field be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really good question. I would imagine that this is a low budget movie. What was the budget on this? Because this is before. Well, is this before or after The Matrix? Because
I think it's after. Wasn't The Matrix in the 90s?
99?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a low budget movie, so maybe it was a metaphor. But either way, it was clear that this wasn't necessarily it wasn't a field that they were filming on. What do you got?
Well,
are you still looking at IMDb?
I'm on Wikipedia, like you would like me to be.
Oh, if you go to the top right of the page, it should have it.
Well, I thought it would be in the right.
Yeah.
Where do you think it has it on the top right?
As if you're on here. So
I went through all of...
It was $50 million. So, I mean...
Wait, are you on that website or the... Look, where would I find it here? Because I scrolled through
top right.
Of the...
So, center, top right here.
That's not top right. Top right would be up here. That's what I thought you were talking about.
Well...
Tell me there's a little box.
Yeah. Should have said that.
That has info.
It's the bottom of the top right.
The budget was $50 million. Okay. I feel like that's low. I think I read that $100 million was like around the
standard
average, because whenever you're talking about X-Men, I think I read that theirs was 75 and it said that was low.
Well,
for that time period.
The Matrix was done in 99 and their budget was $63 million.
Oh.
But then I'm thinking, okay, if I'm going back to the 2002 movie, of the Matrix. What was it? It was Matrix Reloaded.
Mm-hmm.
Is that budget got 127 million, so nearly double. And so I think the Matrix itself was a one like it was just a wildly successful film, and if I'm thinking back on it, the CGI was significant, and the fighting sequences, and just the entire premise. But I'm thinking back on it, and that could have gotten away as a quote low budget movie. But obviously in The Matrix Reloaded, that was a different thing altogether, because they put a lot more effort into the CGI and the variation of scenes that they had in there. So a double budget makes it for a larger film. So I think that this movie did not do as well, because at the box office they got 50.1 million for the replacements. So
they just broke even.
yeah, barely. And so I think that has to speak to this movie, maybe not a reflection of Keanu Reeves as an actor, but
Yeah, I was trying. I don't know. I tried asking Google how much the average movie budget was in 2000, and the AI overview says there isn't much information about the average
no, it just
movie
hasn't
budget
looked up
in
the
2000,
average movie budget.
but it told me that in 2000 the average ticket price was $5.39.
Oh my, how much is the ticket price today?
Around 13.
Yowza! Oof, that's terrible. Ugh, I don't like that at all.
Plus the cost of concessions.
Oh my gosh, don't even get me started. Concessions. It's like that what's that the voice of God guy? It was a answer on Final Jeopardy recently. Donna Hugh or anyways, is the movie trailer guy in a world. So that was a clue on Jeopardy. The 3 words, the quote voice of God. Who
Don LaFontaine.
Don LaFontaine in a world where I don't know where I was going with that, but it just made me think of the Jeopardy clue that was on there, which I don't think we're done seeing Don LaFontaine in our trailers, because he was around this time. Yeah, so we watch trailers before looking at the movie, if you're just now hopping on board, and then we think, oh well, would we see that in theater? And I felt like The Replacement, it seemed like a feel good movie that like you leave the theater being like, yeah. So what comments do you have?
Well, I want to say this wasn't a movie I would watch. I would have picked to watch in theaters, but I usually don't want to watch sports related movies, and then they turn out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
The opening song I thought sounded really familiar, and I kept waiting to hear a line that I knew, something, but I didn't. But anyway, the opening song was Ziploc by Lit.
Okay. Yeah. Lit.
Mm-hmm. But it just sounded familiar.
Yeah, that was a aughts band that thought they were lit.
And we had another movie that had a song in a minute too, but I don't remember what it was.
Oh.
I should have looked that up.
No, don't worry. What else? Yeah.
It's okay. They had lots and lots and lots of songs playing throughout the movie. Yeah. Kind of like watching Smallville or anything on the CW.
Oh yeah, right. it makes you wonder how much money these artists got paid to have their song on the movie, or whether or not there was a lot more leeway because the various digital avenues to get their song out there wasn't there, and so they were just excited to have the audience.
Yeah, maybe. I said I wasn't sure. This was like probably like halfway through or something. I'm not sure if I like this movie. Some parts, oh, this must have been after. Some parts were confusing. Like, I don't know how the head cheerleader got that job if she was already a cheerleader.
And then she was a bartender on the side.
Well, that was her full-time job.
Yeah.
She owned the bar.
Oh, well, yeah, that just doesn't make any sense.
So did she just step in to say, "Oh, I'll take over this job of finding other cheerleaders"?
Because the cheerleaders were on strike. Yeah, suspend disbelief.
And I didn't understand why the guy, the kicker, like, what was he just too upset at the end to kick because those guys who were trying to collect?
Guess that just didn't make any sense. But I feel like we missed something at the beginning, but I'm thinking about the scene of him at the bar and it just doesn't make sense.
Well, those guys were there at the beginning trying to collect their money because they're like bookies or something.
Well, yeah.
But that's all I could gather from it. Like, was he just so upset that Shane Falco just thought,
I gotta
he won't be able
call
to
an
kick.
audible. Yeah, but is at the same time as I'm expected to believe that this guy's so shaken on the field about to kick a field goal, the same guy who at the bar is like standing up against these the non-replacements, the real football players, and acting all tough, and it's like, okay, like this, it was just not an aligned character.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, here's what IMDb said.
This
was the story and the Washington team in the movie was loosely based on the 1987 replacement team for the Washington Redskins, because there was a strike in 1987.
Okay.
And the Redskins players, but it wasn't like at the end of this season like it said in the movie. The Redskins players came back for week 7 through to the Super Bowl, and they won the Super Bowl, but the replacement players who had won 3 of the 4 games, or however many there were, I think there were 4, got no credit for their involvement until 30 years after the fact, and in 2018 they received Super Bowl rings.
That's nice. Well deserved. But is there not the Redskins anymore? Because God, let's take every thing historical out of America.
But they were at that time.
They're the Washington Commanders.
Well, I wouldn't have even known what name they are now, but I just was telling you that's what they were in '87.
Well, still, that's pretty nice that they actually paid homage to the replacements.
Yes, and then I said I didn't hate this movie, but also I don't think I would watch it again.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Well, let's grade it. What do you got?
You don't have any more comments?
No, it was a generally feel-good movie. It just, this probably wouldn't have been a movie that I would have seen generally, like, just because it was in theaters, and, it's not, like, gory, and it seems fun and enjoyable, and, it's kind of like a date night movie, okay? That's it, and so, like, I don't know, I just wasn't, that enthralled by it, but
I know it's like on the superhero movies, there are too many action scenes. Like there were too many football scenes for me to get bored with.
Yeah. I can see that. Is they, yeah, they don't strike a proper balance between, the narrative, the character development, and, the overall arch of the story.
Oh, I was gonna say one more thing.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman, whenever he had his hat on,
Yeah.
he really reminded me of Tom Buchanan from The Great Gatsby.
Oh my
but
gosh.
like I look like they're not related or anything, but he just really looked like him.
You're ridiculous.
Oh, he did.
I didn't even. Yeah. Okay. Is Tom Buchanan? Get the liquor, wrap it in a towel. Well, so what do you grade it?
Okay, well, I think I've looked back at other movies. I think I'm becoming more lenient in my grading. But because this exceeded my expectations, because my expectations were low, I gave it an 81.
Oh, okay. That was 1 point below what I was thinking, which is an 82.
Okay.
Yeah. Because, I think that the baseline is, like 70, 75. Didn't meet expectations, didn't exceed expectations.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a feel-good movie, and I'm, like it left me with a fist pump. Yeah, they got it.
Well, I don't think our grading scale aligns with like a 10-star.
It doesn't
scale
need to.
Because, it should, because it's like, 0 to 100 should be like 0 to 10 stars maybe. But like, would I give this 8 stars? Probably not. But I gave it an 81. So I don't know how that like.
No, then it's like if we're
aligns.
talking about stars, it would be 0 out of 5, and you may give it 3 out of 5.
Okay, well, I guess I'm just trying to make that clear. Like, I was thinking last night.
We've already changed our watching procedure. So comment on this video and let us know if we should maybe closer align our rating system to 0 out of 5 stars.
That's too hard.
How is it too hard?
I like 10 stars because I have more room to. Well, no, because 5 might be better.
5 is a better number. That's your favorite number.
Well, yeah, but I don't know how to grade it on a 5. Well, that's
Yeah,
how
you
I
do
for books on.
And also is if you're grading it, 0 to 100, you just take that 81. Oh, what's that equate? A 4 out of 5.
Yeah, but it's not a 4 out of 5.
Well, but then you can also weight the fact that it's like you would just give a terrible movie, like an F grade, right? Then you can reconcile that with where a 4 out of 5 or the 5-star lines up mathematically with an F to an A, and you'd probably give this movie a 3 out of 5 star.
Yeah.
So there's a way. So comment on this video if you want us to, change our grading system, if you've listened to this for so long. But, do you have anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right. Well, until next time, we will be watching another movie. I don't know what it is yet, but, we know what the week after next is, but not the next movie.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah. Well, anyways, but for all that is She's Calling.
He smiles.
And this has been YAWTM, the podcast about
Movies from the aughts.
that you ought to watch. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to You Ought to Watch This Movie, a podcast about movies from the first decade of the 2000s, aka the aughts. Be sure to subscribe for new episodes covering movies you ought to watch. We'll see you next time.